There's an African proverb, actually. It's like, love is the best painkiller. I was like, I just need 1,000 people to give me $300. I can buy this building and save a bunch of kids' lives. So when I was 20 years old, I went to Kenya by result of a Google search. I had this moment where I met the most beautiful baby I'd ever seen in my life.
Aww.
And I remember being so angry.
Angry?
Yeah. Why would God show me this child right now? Like, I don't have a building. I'm not going to be able to live here. I'm still in PA school.
To date, not to take a single salary, you work an entire full-time job to take care of you and yours.
Yeah.
And every single dollar goes towards that hospital.
And I am a really good receiver. I think that's why I'm able to do what I do, is because I don't feel guilty for taking blessings, because I know what I can do with it. I didn't know the gravity, but his life has impacted so many. That's why I am able to talk with donors with such confidence, because I would rather have that money go to my children.
Hey guys, welcome back. Super excited, you guys. We're brand spanking new year this year. What is better than actually figuring out how to steward your best behaviors forward? So many times we get lost in our lives. We are so focused on what we are doing, what we're trying to achieve, where we're trying to grow, I guess you could say, that we forget there's other opportunities to serve at scale. And one of the things that I wanted to bring light to is several organizations this year that I personally believe in and that I personally love being part of and joining forces with. And to that end, I want to introduce you guys to a great friend, the founder, CEO, and doctor of Ovi Hospital in Kenya. Her name is Dr. Iza. Iza. All right, so you got me.
Perfect. It's a nickname for Elizabeth.
Okay.
Iza.
So please help me welcome Dr. Iza Correll. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm so happy to be here today.
All the way from Kenya.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks to the holidays and some mutual friends. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I'd come if you asked me to anyway.
So. Well, I'm definitely asking you to. You and I had a chance to meet at our good friend Ken Jocelyn's mastermind back in summer of 2025. And I think I've actually shared this story briefly on air before without you even knowing it's been shared.
Really?
Yeah. And I know I've shared it with my team privately, which is... you may or may not know this, but when you were on stage sharing your heart and really sharing your heart, I'm weird. I see things that maybe other people don't see, and I feel things that other people don't feel, and all the things.
What's that about you?
I've got all the weirdness, right? And it's okay. I accept my weirdness now. But God kept highlighting me and saying and he just kept repeating, she's trustworthy. She's trustworthy. She's trustworthy. She's trustworthy. And as not to like replay necessarily the entire event, I was very happy to play a role in hopefully helping you get some needed funding, mainly because, again, I wanted other people to see what God was sharing with me in that moment, which is she's trustworthy. Yeah. So before we jump into the hospital and all the work you've been doing, you got to give us some insight, because like you're super young when you make this decision. Like it seemed terrifying to me. So like, tell us all about you.
All about me and how I got there?
Yep.
Oh, wow. So
go ahead and pull that mic just a itty bit closer to you.
Sure. You have to tell me, because that's not what I specialize in. No. So when I was 20 years old, I went to Kenya by result of a Google search. So I wanted to go and see what it was like and medical opportunities over there. So literally typed in medical opportunities in Africa, and I found this little tiny organization that was taking volunteers. It was a local organization in a place called Migori, Kenya, which I now live. And I showed up there on the first day. I remember I told my parents at the Thanksgiving table that I was going to Kenya. I'd already bought my plane ticket, and they couldn't do anything about it. And that was the only way it would happen. Yeah. You know, I had to, because they thought I'd lost it, and I kind of had. At that age, I was a bit of a resistor. I hadn't got an iPhone yet, so I had like a little flip phone still. Okay. I didn't want a smartphone.
Motorola or Nokia or what?
Yeah, I get there. It was like probably a razor. Like I literally held out on this. It was wild. But I got there, and I remember I couldn't make any phone calls because the phone didn't work with service there. So someone's like, "Hey, is this you?" And I just got in the car. They drove 14 hours and took me to a tent with a giraffe tied to it. That was my first night in Kenya. And yeah, from there, ended up at a hospital. 1-2 days in, ended up getting too sick to really even volunteer or do much. But in the 6 weeks that I was there, did see a lot of tragedy at the hospital. Saw a lot of children who couldn't take care of themselves, who couldn't access healthcare, even with parents. Just if you couldn't pay, you couldn't get in. It's like a grocery store. You know, here in America, people can pay after treatment, but there you really have to pay up front or they won't admit you. And I said, well, what happens if people don't have children at all? And because I'd had a little bit of sickness and I wasn't able to get out and do much, I started talking more with the cook at the guest house where I was staying. And she's now the person who runs my entire hospital.
Let's go. That's awesome.
Business administration, but it was really all as it should be because we started dreaming together, and I had this vision at age 20 of like this hospital that could give free care to children who had absolutely no one, kids who had been discarded and orphaned and abandoned with these terminal conditions. And so she and I ended up starting the hospital together, bought the hospital building when I was 24, opened it when I was 25. And
okay, slow down. I know there's a story in the middle. So if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that you actually envisioned the hospital before you found the hospital and then bought the hospital.
Yeah.
All right, so walk me through that.
It was in that bed with the food poisoning, eating like white rice and Sprite. A little blue pen just drew this building, and it became the goal, like the tangible. I'm someone, I always see it in my mind and draw it before it happens. And sometimes it scares me. I still find like these little drawings.
I'm going to have you draw some stuff for me a little bit later, yeah.
If I draw it, it comes true. So you have to be careful what I doodle. But yeah, I'd drawn this building, and I remember a couple years later, I was visiting Helen. We were doing some interviews. I would always do research. I was in the honors college, and you could get grants if you would write papers. And so I would make up research projects to see about the needs of the orphans and the widows in these rural areas of Kenya. And then my school would pay for me to go over and do these trips. It would like finance my visits to Kenya. And then as I was there one day, she's like, you should really turn this into a blueprint. And so we had someone come over and make a blueprint. And down the line, I knew so well what that building looked like in my mind. And one day I had come to build a playground. So I could not afford a hospital. I thought what I was going to do is like bootstrap, like become a PA in the US, work for some years, save my own money, then try to use my savings to build a little small hospital. And one day when I was building that playground had ended up, it was a crazy story, but I went to go buy wood for the playground. And there was we call them peaky drivers, but it's like a motorbike, and it's our transport over there. There's this guy, he's like, I just feel like God's telling me that you have to go to this orphanage. I'm an orphan. I grew up there, and I feel like God's telling me to take you there. And I was like, no, it's my last day. I can't. I'm already scheduled for somewhere else tomorrow. He's like, no, I've already talked to your host mom, the cook, who I'd met when I was 20. He's like, I'm going to come to her house and get you at 1 p.m. tomorrow. And he actually showed up, which is just never heard of in Kenya. They're always late. He was there 15 minutes early. So I ended up going, and I remember I had this moment where I met the most beautiful baby I'd ever seen in my life.
Aww.
And for 6 months before then, I'd been waking up every night dreaming about this little baby.
And this is the first trip to Kenya?
This is not my first trip. I was a few trips in. So the first trip, I was 20. So I was goodness, I guess I was 25. Was I 25? I get confused on the
we'll call it mid-20s.
No, let's see. I was 23. I was 23. So we're 3 years in there, and exactly 3 years. And I went to, that orphanage, and I saw this little girl, and I had been having dreams about my future daughter, and I knew her name was going to be like the name of a flower. Aww. God had been telling me that in my dreams. And when I met this little baby, I just fell in love with her. And I was like, what's her name? And they were like, her name is Lily. And I remember being so angry.
Angry?
Yeah. That was the emotion, because I was in school and I didn't have money. And backstory for this playground, I bought these little coffee bags. I started my nonprofit. I got our little nonprofit logo, and I'd made a bunch of coffee bags to sell, and nobody bought them. Like, nobody bought them. My dad ended up selling his Buick that we called the Screamin' Monkey for $1,600 so that I could have the $1,600 I needed for this like park, to build this playground. And I had no confidence. And so I was like, why would God show me this child right now? Like, I love her. Like, I know this is my child, but I don't have a building. I'm not going to be able to live here. I'm still in PA school. And as I was driving home from this orphanage, all these crazy miracles of alignment.
This is why I love talking to you.
The motorcycle guy that I'd randomly met when buying the bed. Anyway, he drives me past this building, and I just was so shocked. I was like, that's my building, like the one I drew. I drew it with a blue pen. It was a blue building. They were finishing the construction of it. And I was like, we have to go there. Like, we have to go to this building. And he's like, okay. So we drive up, and on the gate, there's a phone number. So I just stop right there and call the phone number. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm leasing. Like, it's an apartment. We're taking applicants for residence. I was like, no, I want to buy the building. He's like, well, it's not for sale. I was like,
watch me. I doodled it.
It's my building. And so I'm like showing people like the picture of my blueprint and the picture of the building. And I'm like, it's identical. It's just, I did 3 stories and this one is 5 stories. And I was so convinced that it was just going to be the easiest thing ever. So I had a little naive 23-year-old brain. And I was just like, I need 1,000 people to give me $300.
Hey, it actually paid off that you were so fearless.
Yeah, I know. Honestly.
Love on that girl some, will you?
It's really good to do things like when you don't understand the risk and you don't understand how hard it is. And that's where I was. And I was like, I just need 1,000 people to give me $300. I can buy this building and save a bunch of kids' lives. Why would someone not do that? And yeah, so I had a mother's love churning automatically for my little baby Lily, who's now 10 and a half.
Yay.
She is my daughter. She's
now, she just made her first trip to U.S. too, right?
No, she's been coming for about
Okay, all right. So it's her sister.
It was my youngest daughter. She just made her first trip. We had, that's our latest miracle, is getting her visa and getting her over here with us. But yeah, I got my daughter, my hospital, everything overnight. Not overnight, but it felt that way.
In short order.
Yeah, it took a lot of work. It took, of course, just silly confidence because I couldn't even sell $1,600 worth of coffee bags. How am I going to get donations for a hospital? But
what do you think, out of curiosity, what do you think God was showing you in that moment?
I think the spirit in me at that time was just like, I had to, you know, and it was time. And when you see something that's so deep in your heart and mind and it comes into real life, you have to receive it.
Yeah.
And I am a really good receiver. I think that's why I'm able to do what I do, is because I don't feel guilty for taking blessings, because I know what I can do with it.
I don't think, see, that's where I would disagree with your framing.
Yeah.
I don't think you're taking blessings. I think you're stewarding what God has already entrusted.
Yeah.
And again, this is actually a story I love sharing because it doesn't happen that often. I can probably count on 2 hands in my entire life. I turned 50 this year, and where God has literally highlighted and said something very specific. He gives me downloads all the time for people.
Yeah.
But it's very seldom that he actually highlights, almost like with a highlighter, an entire being, and says, she is trustworthy. And one of the things I've discovered is, in order to be trustworthy, many times you've had to go through some areas that would have to challenge not just trust, not just truth, but leadership, accountability. What's the word I'm looking for? These are the refining moments. Like, I'm a big believer that God does things with small beginnings. In fact, I have a blue document that happened in late 2024. Henry and Taryn, ironically, had something to do with, mainly Henry. I did one of his meditations, and you come out of the meditation, you just free write and stuff like that. And I did this exercise. Anyway, and what's really interesting is it says, despise not small beginnings or painful transitions.
Yeah.
So which tells me that one phrase, if I believe it was coming from God, right? So if you just read what I wrote, it doesn't sound like me at all, the entire document. That tells me that's a truth to this existence. Don't, despise not the small beginnings or the painful transitions.
Yeah, wow.
So it seems like the leadership, because I've had the joy of spending some time with you after the fact that Ken's mastermind, Lake House and stuff. We were brainstorming some business ideas, running them past a gentleman that's now become a mutual friend. I know you've been close to him for a while, Troy, and just brainstorming some different ideas. And you have a CEO mind.
Yeah.
You have an entrepreneurial gift, right? So it's really cool to see God pull all of that together. But you also have loved the vulnerable, from what I can tell, literally since you were a little girl.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
talk to me just a little bit about that, because I feel like people are searching for a purpose, not realizing their purpose is already inside of them.
Yeah. I think I love so many points you made there, but just speaking to like the pain, you know, I was a very sad child. Like if you flash up pictures of me as a little kid, my first trip to Disney, my first time to the beach, I had sad eyes.
Uh-huh.
And I don't say that to, build a case for myself, but just to say that deep meaning and deep inspiration can come from deep pain. And I don't think that I would have had this calling to children who have been abandoned and discarded and who are literally the loneliest, most forgotten children on earth if I hadn't lived a childhood where I felt lonely and I felt sad. And so I think there's a lot of beauty in the contrast, coming from a place of pain. And so many times, so many of us try to fix these things about us before we help anyone else. And I think it's backwards. I think what's saved me, what's made me have joy, what's made me be able to power through my tendency to have sad feelings or feelings of isolation or feelings of not belonging has been to find other people and to help them belong. And I think that's a gift I've been given, is always kind of viewing my pain not as something owed to me, but as a gift and a way to connect with other people. And I've had so many redemptive experiences. Like all of the most painful things in my life have been something that led me to my dream. Like every single one of them. And once you kind of get calloused at going through these really hard things, you learn like, it's hard to take care of terminally ill children. Like it's the worst. You never get used to death.
Well, I was going to say that the difficult part that it seems to me would be to create a bond with a child.
Yeah.
That really hasn't had a chance to experience the adulthood, fullness of life, all the things that come, with that, and then have to say goodbye.
Absolutely.
Even though you know it's coming.
Yeah. It's the view. And I think it's knowing, like, I think some people try not to know it, but my mind is just way too analytical. It's like, I could say, I can't do this because I'm going to feel sad. I know if I don't do it, I'm going to feel sad. Like for me to know that suffering exists is, and to respond to it is the most human, natural thing in the world. I can't imagine like knowing it's there and not doing something, because I could be sad, but imagine them being alone. Imagine what they're going to feel. And for me, I also like, I understand that it comes at a cost, I'm never going to be the most fun person at the party. Sometimes I'm going to have days where I maybe have something people would call like negative energy or low vibe. Because, hey, I've watched kids come in who have been literally purposefully burned, starved, abused. And sometimes I'm not going to be, dancing on the tables and hopping around, giving everybody hugs. Sometimes I am going to be a little bit internal. But the joy of that is also like when I put myself in those vulnerable circumstances and something good comes out of it. You can't imagine the joy. Like you can't imagine the celebration of seeing a child who you thought was going to die, who, like my daughter, for example, when I met her, the youngest one, she was 3 months old and 3 pounds. I did not think she was going to survive. And I was so scared because my oldest daughter, Lily, fell in love with her. And I was like, she's not going to the hospital. She's going to my apartment. Like, I'm going to watch this child. I will not sleep. I'm going to keep this baby alive. My daughter loves her. And she ended up living. And I mean, she's thriving. She's the most beautiful, magical, loving little girl you'll ever meet. Like this child has like a celebrity presence around her. I can barely go out with her. Like she just magnetizes everyone. And the joy of getting to see her come from that place of like, she shouldn't have survived. No one thought she was going to. She had so many odds against her. And then to see her get to live now, I mean, I don't get angry at my kids. Like I have so much peace with my kids and such a beautiful home life because I really know what it would have been like to lose her. Like I saw that almost happen.
So in a roundabout way, that's actually a huge gift.
It gives you such a gratitude for life and such a patience for the people that you love when you know the cost. And I think a lot of people don't have the blessing of knowing the cost.
Do you know where the word hospice comes from? So I discovered this by accident. But the first hospice ever created was created from Mother Teresa.
Really?
Mother Teresa created in, I think it was Calcutta. She acquired a old abandoned Hindu spiritual, like almost like what we would call a church in the States or a mosque in Islam. And she acquired it through a lot of various things. She actually had Indian support, local Indian support for her to own the building because she had taken care of the forgotten of India for decades. And the whole reason that we even have the word hospice and even have this care for those who are terminally ill or dying started there. And I think the reason I'm sharing that, I'm even getting tingles, is because you have a frequency like her.
Oh, thank you.
Which tells me there's something really big here. And the other thing, I think one of the other things that I resonated with when I saw you speak for the first time, actually it was the second time I saw you speak. The first time I saw you speak, I wasn't in a good place. I was dealing with my own inner world stuff with Henry and Taryn. But the second time I saw you speak, the other thing that stood out to me is you were actively walking out exactly what Jesus asked us to do. Like when he talked about where do you spend your time, your energy, and your resources, like essentially the widows and the forgotten, specifically children, he mentioned a lot. Yeah. And the fact that he's put a love in your heart for those who you might be the only love they ever experience, you and your team, right? Yeah. I just think is magical.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that truly says is when Jesus says I am here for everyone, and like I am that, like he's embodying that. I mean, he God really means it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't care where you are, I still see you. You could be hiding in a closet for different circumstances or whatever, but I see you. And the fact that he's given you the eyes to see that, no matter how painful it was for you to get there, I think is a miraculous blessing that's going to bless countless children. I got 3 beautiful faces over here, young men that I get updates on some of the children that I partner with you on, which I'm so grateful for the opportunity. By the way,
grateful for you.
And it just brings light. Like this young man here is this big old smile.
Yeah.
Right. He's over here playing with a toy. I know you told me this young man over here is like one of your like not favorites.
Baby.
Yeah.
No, you have. I love all of them.
Of course, I know you do.
Those two.
I know you do.
Those two are really special cases.
They have. I can look at their pictures and see they have very sweet spirits.
Yeah, and happy endings too. The one in the middle. I mean, I almost took him in as like a son. It was the worst case of child abuse I'd ever seen. But then I ended up finding out that it wasn't the mother. It was actually the step grandmother who had done the really terrible things to him. And he was starved, he was beaten, he was cut with knives and burned. I mean, the worst thing I'd ever seen. That little guy in the middle, it took 2 years to get that smile. We could barely brush his teeth. He would not open his mouth. He didn't trust anyone. And just this week, his mother has graduated high school and we've been able to get them to safety and they're reunited. So she always came and visited him, but she was just too young to defend him. She couldn't take care of him when she was living in that home, and we were able to help get her out of the home, help her get stabilized, and now they're together. He still comes. We check on him weekly with our social worker. He'll come in for monthly in-person visits. But when I say we would just do anything, like when a child comes into our hospital, people ask me a lot of logistical questions like, oh, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I'm like, I have to tell you, I'm just a very like spirit-driven person, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like sometimes you would take in a case like that and be like, well, we don't.
I make decisions all the time. It's more of a nudge.
But it always turns out. And I mean, he's now like the happiest little boy. The fact that he doesn't have to live his life in an orphanage, or he does get to be back with his mother who loves him. It's the most beautiful thing on the planet, and I do feel honored, that I get to be a part of it. And
you and your team played an active role in his healing.
Yeah. I mean, I would do anything for that.
You would do anything for any of the children. I know you. And I think that's one of the most powerful things is, these are just 3 beautiful examples of countless children you're actively working with or have worked with. And again, I love the fact that I see, like, as a person of faith, I see Jesus all over this, like all over it, in it, out it, through it, around it. And I'm weird. I understand energy and sequencing and source and all those things, but when I look at the Bible, I can take today's modern language and see all of it all over everything. So, I think where I'd like to go next with you is if I'm not mistaken, this was the first hospital of its kind in that area,
Yeah.
if not in a broad area.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little about that.
Yeah. So it's very, very niche in the sense of it's not just a hospital for, the whole community. It is really specific in children who are forgotten. We built things in a small way on purpose. I wanted to make sure that we didn't go too big. I think that's one problem where charities really mess up is they go after more money than they need.
We actually just had a conversation with another nonprofit, and that's Willie Anchor's like, hey,
Yeah.
more money's not going to fix the problem.
No. And that's what I saw being boots on the ground, because you see these big, major, popular, even sometimes government-funded organizations and the billions of dollars that they're spending, and then you see the impact that it's making, and it's not going to touch the kind of kids that I work with. Some things really take more intention. And I think the big temptation in nonprofits is to get data and statistics, and people get addicted to getting more money. And one thing I can say about myself is I never cared about being the world's most successful charity. I just wanted to genuinely help children as an actual child. And if you want to do the things that we do, which is, really give children a feeling of not being alone, take a kid who was tied up, soiling all over themselves, starving in the back of an orphanage, beaten, and bring them in, you can't do that at large. Like, you have to build a system for that. So what I really did for the first 10 years was just study, like, how can I do this? What can I be the best at? How can we build it in a way, not that just impresses people or gives big statistics, but actually changes these children's lives? Because I didn't feel okay piling kids three to a hospital bed. Like, I wanted to make sure these kids, when you walk through, you aren't crying tears of sadness, but tears of joy for what life they get to live now. And that's been and forgive me because I've definitely got off track and forgot the original question.
I would rather operate in flow all day long.
Yeah,
for sure.
But no, that's been the thing, is not going too big too fast. And that's what's given me the confidence now is like, okay, I actually was patient. I turned away big gifts that would have pushed me in another direction. Like, I've had more than 5 different people try to offer me hospital buildings, just like, come and operate this. But they wanted something more for-profit, or they wanted something with adults and children, or they wanted like all mass this and that. And I really stuck to my kids and to, these are the children I feel called to. These are the children that I understand and that I could work day and night.
I can't wait for you to go back and study some of Mother Teresa's life.
Really?
You're going to see so many overlaps.
It's such a joy, because when I go to the hospital and I'm working with my team, they're like, when do you sleep? When do you do anything else? I'm like, this is my time off. Like, I work during the week so that I can be here in the night, so that I can be here in the
Actually, let's talk about that for a second, right? Because, when a lot of folks, when they start their nonprofits, especially if they're able to get some charitable giving that makes sense, they take salaries and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you have chosen to date not to take a single salary. You work an entire full-time job in your specialty of telehealth and things of that nature to take care of you and yours.
Yeah.
And every single dollar goes towards that hospital.
Yeah. And it's a privilege. And I tell people that's why I am able to talk with donors with such confidence, because I would rather have that money go to my children. And it's not that I don't think I deserve it. I know how hard I work for my hospital. I know the value that I bring and that what I can pull in through my work. But at the same time, like, I kind of live the model. I tell them it's a gift to give. And for me, it's a gift to not take, so that in essence it can go to the children. And sometimes you'll see big charities that talk a lot about like, oh, well, we get our operations donated so that 100% goes to this or that. I'm like, well, still, you could be asking for that $1 million to go to.
I've seen I've unfortunately seen a lot of charitable organizations. And one of the conversations I had on a different show was the fact that as someone, I have a philanthropic heart. And I've had to only stand up and offer to give when I'm told to versus anyone under the sun. And part of that's because I was able to see behind the curtain on several occasions, unfortunately, where larger nonprofits, they would literally raise money in year one. And under the guise, hey, we're gonna bring on these people, we're gonna do these types of things. This is the salaries we want to pay. The money comes in. The money stays at the top. Very little of it gets to the team or the bottom, if you will, the services that they're attempting to do, and that cycle repeats. And then what happens is they continue operating that model. And as a result, distrust is placed in people like myself who want to do good with what God has entrusted me with to the best of my ability, which is, again, I think it goes back to that she's trustworthy thing, right? It was a big deal. I think you saw it come out in me because I was really bothered by some of the, I was really bothered by others didn't take full advantage early on. Let's put it that way. But I was happy that many of them did once we encouraged them to do so.
Yeah.
So,
and I talk about you all the time now because you were the first person who's ever really done that. And I think there's so much power in that.
it's God. That's not me, it's God, for sure.
Because I think so many times people are like, okay, I want to help those children. Let me go buy a ticket to hold them, you know? And they put so much pressure on themselves. And maybe it's not even in their nature. Maybe they go back with years of depression. They can barely go to work. They, you know, and with that little thing, they've ticked a box, okay, I've helped. And I think people need to know a different perspective of sometimes it's simply your voice. Because what you did, like just standing up and being who you are, that more than doubled like our monthly donations in 1 3-minute spiel to the audience, just speaking on my behalf, telling them, hey, like we've got to do this. You changed the hospital. You doubled our capacity like in that one single moment. And so I think sometimes people complicate it. They're like, okay, when I have time off, I'm going to go on a mission trip. Or when I make this goal, I'm going to donate 10% of it. But sometimes it's just using that authority, that power, that voice to inspire people and to do it and to model it. And, you know, I don't think we'd even had conversations at that point. You just stood up and I was I don't know how he's.
I was, so I'll share a quick story with you. And fortunately, because we're on not a specific timetable, we have a little time to cut some ground because I have several other things I want to discuss with you. But the day before, one of the other speakers, who's now become a really good friend of mine, Jake Hamilton, former lead singer of Jesus Culture, was given the opportunity to not only play worship in the morning at this event, but also speak to the crowd, basically. And I think there was maybe a couple hundred people there, give or take. Might be more, maybe less. There were tables as far as I could see to the back of the room. And he was talking about healthy masculinity and what that really looks like. Because obviously there's this terminology of toxic masculinity versus, so men are afraid to be men, right? So we're like, oh, I don't want to be toxic, but I don't know what kind of man I'm supposed to be, right? So I love the work he's doing as well. And everybody should check him out as well. But he gave a spiel, and he was talking specifically about what a God-centered masculine protection over the divine feminine looks like. And here you are. And now he gave a passionate speech. I loved every minute of it. I was like, yes. He when I say wrecked, a man came up to work with him one-on-one in front of everybody, got wrecked, got transformed in, I don't know, 10 minutes. Maybe 5? I don't know, right? And the very next day, Jake's not there at that time. He was doing another event or something like that in the area. And I kept feeling like God kept saying to me, she's trustworthy because you didn't have, I say you didn't have because you did have. You've had a few key people that's been part of your journey from early on, Troy being one of them. Amazing man. I love that guy. But additional sets of covering without control. It's like people are willing to come be a part of your initiative and believe in your vision as long as they could control your vision, rather than just trusting that. Like when I donate, and whether it's sharing a platform or sharing a stage with you or whatever, I can trust that whatever I'm donating, you got it. Yeah. You're buying whatever medication you need to buy. You're getting the utilities however you need to get them. You're renovating the hospital in a way that serves the children at a deeper level. Like there's a trust factor there, and it came from I love how God set stuff up, because I feel like Jake was a setup from when I heard what I heard and saw what I saw for me to say enough's enough. This is ridiculous. I walked into that room wearing nice clothes. Okay. It didn't take long for me to say, what she's asking for is the equivalent of me buying nice clothes twice a month.
Yeah.
And these lives are worth far more than a pair of shoes, far more than a top, far more than a pair of pants, far more than a sports car, right? Far more, like it's just, when I think about what matters to God, it's not how big your lifestyle becomes, it's how effective is your lifestyle. You know, and that fired me up because, again, this is where God just, maybe you doodled it somewhere else, I don't know, but things like he showed up, like he's like, and he wouldn't let me go. I tried to sit, like I tried to sit down.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this still ain't good enough. Like, and and so anyway, I say all that to say that one of the things maybe we can talk a little bit about is how little it actually takes from what we as an American culture would seem as to help a child like this live another year, have a better lifestyle, have love at the, if they are going to pass, they have love, or get the help they need and be restored.
Yeah.
Right. I was really surprised at how little it takes from people like myself or anyone else who's willing. And guys, this hospital, I'm telling you right now, is the real deal. If you're thinking about investing and stewarding and giving, this is one of the few places that I promise you everything goes to exactly where it's supposed to go. So I wanted to maybe mention a little bit about what the dynamic looks like for dollar per, like when someone invests $1, $10, $1,000, whatever, what happens at the hospital?
Yeah. And so we have it laid out in wards, and right now we have 5 floors, and the next step is we were wanting to do another hospital. And so that's what I've really been honing in on. And I told you I wasn't trying to grow bigger than we could. Like for years, I just tried to be like, okay, what is the best budget for the children to have everything they need in one place, like live the fullest life. And so in order for us to care for about 60 children, it takes $250,000 a year, but that's everything from all cost of anything. And that's per facility. So the idea is we've just about hit that for the hospital we have now. We have one more floor that needs to be sponsored on this hospital. And then in January 2027, I have a piece of land right now we're wanting to get and do the second hospital.
That's
so
awesome.
What's really amazing too is we have a developer who's done like incredible work. We've been able to make those relationships, and it's very plug and play. So it's for the first time that it's like, okay, we're taking care of our children. We know exactly what it takes. And as soon as we have enough to take care of the children that we have, it's time to go to hospital too. Because I'm not about doing, like, I really believe in having that number, knowing exactly what it takes, and then going and reaching more kids. And so,
How are you duplicating yourself and your heart to serve these children when you're not in the room?
Yeah, systems. And that's my passion too. It really took something in me to realize that about myself. I don't think I had that confidence. I grew up, I had dyslexia and all
Me too.
Really?
That's why my emails don't look like jumbled mess.
Yeah. I had, a lot of different opinions of my mind that weren't true in reality. And it took some time to get the confidence of, oh, wow, like I can see something and know how to make it better and know how to make the operations more solid. And I can sense what people are experts at, and I can help them to really own that position and to love it. And so I spent a lot of my time doing that. When I first went over there, I thought I was going to be rocking babies all day, practicing medicine personally on the patients at OV. And now a lot more of what I do is more kind of delegation and visionary planning. And so I've just been making a lot of different automations. Anything that can be automated, I try to make
automated, delegated, or eliminated. That's my strategy.
And it brings me so much joy because I've learned the purpose in that, and I've learned if I can create a system that's repeatable, predictable, I know exactly how the children are being cared for. It's able to be tracked. And a lot of times you don't get this in healthcare, and that's something I'm really
9 times out of 10 you don't get it in healthcare. Not adequately.
Yeah. I just went to the hospital to visit my grandfather who was in critical condition over Christmas. And I walked in and I think everybody has a little bit of imposter syndrome. This is so much better. I'm just da-da-da. And for me, it's like, I think about American hospitals versus our resources in Kenya. And I went in and I was like, my hospital is cleaner. This system. And I'm like, okay, no, we've really done a good job. We've made it at a standard of like, I'm ready to duplicate.
Yeah.
And for a while, I don't think I was. I think I was like, okay, no, I want to make sure I can do this in the best way. Because these are children's lives.
Yeah.
And I think I'm so acutely aware of what it feels like to feel alone as a child. And I don't want to bring in more children than could be held and known and
don't
cared
want to bring
for.
in more children that can be held.
Oh, yeah.
Held. The word held is a powerful word.
Yeah.
That's physical touch.
Yeah. And it's so crucial. I think in the first 0 to 24 months, if a child isn't held, the pons actually shrinks and they can't bond and attach in the way that they would. Like normal human connection becomes very difficult for them. And that defines the entire trajectory of their life. And I think it's very cruel to bring children into a mass setting where they aren't known and they aren't held. And I remember.
Do you feel like maybe that's the reason the overall foster care system struggles so much to adequately prepare young men and women for life?
Yeah, it's if you don't reach children in those in that developmental block, it's hard to. It becomes a big struggle, and yeah, and in some of these systems that are less touch, less intimacy, less emotional connection, it really does permanent brain damage. It makes it very hard for them to integrate into society. And yeah, I'm not pro-orphanage. A lot of people think I have an orphanage. I'm pro-family. I think it's way better to live in a hut with a family than to be in an institution. And that's as someone with a hospital. But our vision is always, if we can get the child better and put them back in a community, reunite them with their family, grandmother, aunt, uncle, whoever we can find, love is there's an African proverb, actually. It's like, love is the best painkiller. We have it as like a little neon sign in one of our wards. And I just so believe that. And so we use our mission as a way of getting children out of vulnerable situations, healing them, and then, bringing the family in, reconnecting them with them, because we believe that's the most important thing. When they're there, they're going to feel loved. They're going to feel like they have family. But if we can continue that on, if we can put them back in a home, in a setting, somewhere where they can have an identity, that's always the ideal outcome.
It's funny, you're healing hearts, minds, but you're also giving identity. That's a new epiphany.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
It's. I think people underestimate sometimes when you see so many different sponsorship programs and all these different things that you can do, you don't think about the one life and what a difference it can make.
Well, again, part of me thinks that that's not because people don't have a heart for philanthropic efforts. I feel like there's just been, especially like through the 70s, through the mid 90s, there were horror story after horror story, like even given to church entities. Like I'd say church entities, and I love Jesus and I support churches, all the things. But like people who are what I would deem as being misusing their authority for personal gain.
Yeah. 100%. And
so it makes it risky is what I'm getting at.
And it's hard for me because it's good to befriend your peers. And I've really struggled in the charity world. I don't resonate with most of the other people doing similar things to what I do. And it's tragic, but a lot of charities are perpetuating problems instead of solving them. And you have to be really careful. And we used to do an individual child sponsorship, and we've talked a little bit about how you get these cards. But you notice you get a different kid every month, because I learned child sponsorship is the easiest thing you'll ever do. Yeah. But it's also, there's a little bit of an ethical dilemma there. Because if I have someone and it's a cancer patient and someone's sponsoring them and I tell them, oh, it's like $500 a month to fund their cancer care, or to do this or to do that. Well, what if the bills are low? Yeah. Am I going to make the best decision? I never wanted it to be a temptation. I was like, okay, in a hospital setting, people are just going to have to be passionate about reaching a lot of children. I never want to have that ethical dilemma of do I discharge a child or not because I'd lose this donor. I was like, I just want to make it really straightforward. Like when children are healthy, when children have a better option, when children have a family we can reunite them with, they're gone. Yeah. That's the goal. Yeah. We don't keep kids here as a product or a way of making money. Yeah. So that's what we really try to do at OV is like, reach as many children as possible, but also, if a child needs 10 years of our time, they have it. Yeah. I think one of the other things I want to encourage people to do is I want them to do their research before they begin donating. 100%. And the reason is I will tell you just personally, I was privately supporting a children's mission. I mean, they did a lot of different things for the children. I started off in early 2016, 2017. A portion of whatever income I had went out. Didn't think about it. It was supposed to, in this case, it was sponsoring a child who at the time was, I think, 9 and was supposed to age out in, I think, with their thing, maybe 5 or 6 years. That process kept going. The charity never informed me that the child had aged out. And then to make it even more challenging, they couldn't articulate where the funds were being
resent, like I was going to sponsor another child or whatever. And I've tried to do a lot of, I don't know why, but I've done a lot of things in Africa specifically. We've done some wells. We've done some obviously children's things. And I think a lot of that has to do with, I want to help the areas in the world that are the most difficult to receive help.
Yeah.
Like the ones that people forget about.
Yeah, exactly.
Or aren't really paying attention to. So I want to applaud you for just how you, I mean, if it wasn't for your integrity, I wouldn't be a longtime partner. And I don't know that the events that happened that helped raise some additional resource would have happened either. I think that's a testament to who you are and how you lead.
Thank you.
You know, there's a piece of subject matter I want to touch on because I think it's important for the audience to see and hear. Because when you first talked about, when I first saw you talk about this, it was eye-opening. I got to see a glimpse of your soul for a second. And that's with where the hospital name came from.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing that story?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult one, but I had a precious little nephew named Ovidio. I get overwhelmed with the story because it reminds me so much of my own story with my daughter, Lily, who I met in an orphanage and have been her mommy now for 10 and a half years. But same thing. My little sister was working in Guatemala right out of high school. She's volunteering at an orphanage, fell in love with a little boy and was also going through the adoption process, just like I did with my daughter. She stayed there, took care of him. I had the honor of going down and meeting him and, you know, most precious little baby you've ever seen in your life, but was living in an orphanage. And my sister had come back. My parents told her, if we're going to sign the adoption papers, you're going to have to come study. Like, you need to go to college.
Yeah.
And so she went back to take some courses. She hadn't even been gone. I don't even know if it was a month yet. Went back to see him again. And tragically, she was on the way to go and pick him up, and she'd brought a little Finding Nemo blanket. She'd bought presents for the family because the orphanage, when she was away, placed him in a foster home with an aunt so that they could have a respite or take a holiday or something. And just in that short time, I think he'd only been in the foster home for a week. My sister was on the way, Finding Nemo blanket in hand, and she got a phone call. You need to turn around. You don't need to go there. This child had a death certificate issued 2 days ago. And Ovidio, my nephew, he was murdered by his aunt. He was an epileptic, and he was beaten over the head until he died. And I didn't know what that was going to mean. All I knew at that time was I wanted to take care of terminally ill children. I wanted to, like, no matter, because Ovidio was only 4, I'm like, even if they only have 4 years, their life matters. So we named the hospital after Ovi. I had no idea that this was happening at mass, that children who were in orphanages were at risk of such severe abuse, or that, orphanages were sometimes putting children into situations without adequately following them. And we gave Ovi that name, and I still get chills as I sit here and talk about it, but it really was the example of what we were about to set out to do. And if I'd known that, I don't think I could have done it. Yeah. Because it's like, you think about it being hard taking care of a kid with cancer. Think about taking care of a kid who's just been like absolutely traumatized and hurt in every way that you could ever be hurt. I've seen little girls raped with glass Coke bottles. I've seen the worst things in the world, and coming out of institutions, coming out of places where people are funding for these kids to be cared for. I mean, these are like good institutions on paper. Yeah. Western funded, US funded. And so a lot of what we've been doing is like an underground railroad for children who are abused in these charities, in these orphanages. And I think it's such an honor and blessing that I get to use Ovi's name. Yeah. And that somehow, that small, tiny 4 years of life was able to start
clearly
what we have now, and I feel that I didn't know the gravity, but his life has impacted so many. And I wouldn't have known that existed, but just every little alignment of my daughter coming from a very similar situation, it gives me a lot of empathy for my sister. I always say these things are horrifying. Like, I don't like to over glamorize what we do because, I mean, when you live through a literal murder, it's the worst thing you can ever imagine. Like,
Yeah, because there's virtually no closure. Yeah.
No. And my
No
sister,
understanding, no logic behind it. Yeah.
and it was hard for people to understand because she hadn't finalized the adoption. She wasn't big on Facebook or Instagram. So she really had to live through the loss of her child with no one even knowing she had a child. She'd just been off in Guatemala for 2 years, living there, loving him with her entire heart. And I think it's such a privilege for me to be able to understand her because the light left her eyes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, I mean, my sister had never had an enemy. Ever. Like, she never had a negative thing to say, anything. And so it was such a shock for me to see my sister go through so much pain and to, even to this day, see that no one really understands the gravity of what she went through, what we all went through, but particularly as a mom and just knowing how immediately I loved Lily and not having, both of my children are adopted and understanding what the depth of love you can still have for that child. And yeah, I mean,
none of the children that are my children are biologically mine. Not
really?
one of them.
Really?
Yeah. So they all came into my life in a variety of different ways. My daughter was actually 9 months pregnant, working at TGI Fridays. And I saw so much of who I used to be in her that I'll call it befriended her on the spot. I think when about 4 months she had moved in. She became the first person in her biological family that we could find that purchased her own home and began to build her own life.
Yeah.
And I now have, from her alone, 3 beautiful grandchildren. And then my youngest son just had his first child, Ocean.
Oh, wow.
Which is one of the reasons I'm in this area of the country now, because they're like 40 minutes from here, so in the Matthews area. So I know what it means. Now, granted, I will share with you, I don't think I've ever shared this publicly, but I can't biologically have kids and haven't been able to for a long time.
Yeah.
And one thing that God shared with me is that there are many that are fatherless that need a father.
Yeah.
And I experience that even with grown men.
Yeah.
Grown men, I come into their lives and we have, for whatever reason, I'm able to talk to their heart, and that starts a bond, and that bond turns into development. The development turns into them accelerating in life and all kinds of stuff. So I, like you, know the benefit of loving children that aren't biologically mine with the love that
And I
strong.
really think it's even more incredible. I think it's so hard for people to wrap their mind around the capacity for love and connection and bond. But I genuinely have never seen another parent. I don't say that to brag, but like, I'm so amazed. I've never seen a parent-child bond like the ones I have with my daughters.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. And the way that we just get each other and the way that we love each other. And sometimes I look around at my house, I have 2 older girls who live with me who are, just barely over 20. And then I have my girls who are 5 and 10. And then I have my German Shepherd who weighs more than me. And I'm like, none of us have any reason to be here.
Yeah.
Like, and we are so crazy about each other, and we have the best life, and there's not a drop of blood between any of us. And that's so incredible to me. And it's even more miraculous because it's like, wow, I so could have missed this. I could have ended up in any other country, but to have a family that's built just purely on love and choice, and to have it evoke like the most bonded, close feeling. Love you, Mom, love you, Dad, love you, sisters, but I don't love anyone like my children. And I don't think enough people know that.
No, mothers, that's a mother's love in general, in a nutshell.
I just don't think that people know that it's possible.
That mother bear thing is, by the way, it's a real thing. It's not a fake thing. It's a real thing. So, yeah.
But it's such a gift and a blessing. And I think it's even more miraculous to me that I worry, if I ever did have biological children, I'm afraid it wouldn't be as special as the family that I've chosen.
No, you're not wired that way. It would be equally as beautiful in its own way. And I wouldn't necessarily, that's cast out of your future. So.
No, I love children whatever way they want to come.
1,000%.
But it's such a gift. And I think that's one thing I would just celebrate about you, and like that you've done it, and I can testify because people are always like, well, when you have real children, you'll understand. I'm like, what's not real about my children?
Yeah, they're physically there. They eat a lot of food. Yeah, the boys specifically, I swear, when they went from like the 11 to about the 15-year-old, 16-year-old range, they ate so much food, could not keep it in the house. I'm like, good Lord, stop eating.
Oh, I know. My itty bitty daughter, I mean, she still looks like she's 3. She's so tidy. She eats 6 times more than me.
Oh,
She's
wow.
wild. I'm like, the grocery bill for this little baby is like that
That's
of an
awesome.
army.
Well, let me ask you this as we're getting close to wrap up time. First of all, thank you for coming all the way from Kenya, as by way of all the other areas you've been in the country since you've been here. I don't know how many time zones. Loved having you 1,000%. Well, first of all, before we'll get close to wrapping up, where can everybody find out more about the organization? I want to attach, if with your permission, I'd like to attach the video about the Children's Hospital in the link in the description of this particular video on YouTube specifically, so they can go watch it for themselves and just see it all in action. Would be really cool. But where can everybody find out more, and if they have interest in partnering or donating or anything like that?
Yeah, it's ovichildrenshospital.org.
Nice.
And then on everything, it's just OV Children's Hospital. So OVI Children's Hospital. I try to keep it the same on all platforms. And yeah, we're still very mom and pop. If you email, I'll find it. I'll see it. And I love to talk to people.
There might be a little delay if you're on the airplane going across the country.
That's even just my mind. Admittedly, I'm everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
And just loving what I do. But anyone who wants to get involved with the littles, with the babies, help us reach more children. You guys.
Well, you've also been putting out some pretty incredible content. You had a TEDx not that long ago.
I did.
So where can we find that?
And we need to, because I did a terrible job of promoting it.
Well, here we are. We're officially promoting
marketing. Yeah, I'm not much of a marketing.
You're a fantastic speaker. You really are. Especially with things you love.
Yeah, that's easy. I always tell people the key to public speaking is to go and live and like have stories, because then you never have to think about what you're going to say. There's always a story. And I've been really blessed to have some incredible stories. But yeah, that's on YouTube. You type in my name, Iza Correll, and
IZA.
IZA.
Which is not correct. Iza. I've had that wrong for a long time.
Iza is Iza. People say it all.
But the correct way is Iza.
Yeah. And it's why we are lonely.
Why we are lonely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, you're amazing. So, all right. So here's what I want to do. All right. So we obviously know financial support is an important part of what you're doing. Outside of the financial support, what are 3 particular obstacles in your way of getting the next floor in the hospital done, or maybe expanding the hospital to a second hospital? Or what are, maybe we don't have to be just specific to the building. Like, what are 3 obstacles that, if solved, would expedite your progress?
Yeah.
Outside of money.
Outside of money. No, that's easy for me.
Okay.
Because I believe in a lot of types of currency. That's why I don't have, I've never had a US-based team. It's always been a lot of people based in Kenya. So there's a lot of things to do on the operations side. There's a lot of insight, a lot of ways that we can build and grow. People sharing. People really underestimate like what it means to just tell someone a story, to send someone a link. I love being on the ground. So the more people talking about it, the more people getting the word out. I love to speak. Stages, platforms, anything like what you're doing today. This is huge for me, because you never know who it's going to land on. And I think that's a big way people can help. It's just helping me get the word out, whether that's through a link, sending this out, getting it in more places. You never know what it's going to do. The biggest single donation I ever got was from someone random on Facebook who didn't know me and had no money. This family had $130,000 a year, and they said, we want to live on $30,000 and give you $100. It was the first year I'd opened the hospital. I was shocked. They'd just seen a post that someone.
That's called a miracle, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of times people think too big. I've had people who are like, oh, I'm connected to this CEO of this really well-known company. I think we can get a $30 million donation. I'm like, I don't even need you to do that. Like, that's great. If you can truly do that, sure, I'll take it up. But like, sometimes it's just sharing a post. Sometimes it's just doing like one little thing that unlocks.
It's amazing how the small thing can easily turn into the big thing.
Always. It's always.
You mentioned earlier at the very beginning of the show about like, hey, I just figured if I could find, ever many people, give $100 a piece, I can buy this hospital, right?
Yeah.
And I think it really is that simple. It really does. It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 people that do all of the giving or all the infrastructure, all the, obviously I'm happy to come alongside of you guys just with strategy and all the things with no nothing. Like I don't need anything or want anything other than to see you win. But sometimes it is just sharing it and saying, hey, look, I'm thinking about, partnering with this organization. Maybe we could do this together.
Yeah.
And a few of those, that's 15 people, and you're actually making it. You're actually making a difference.
Yeah, I think that's a founder problem right here. Me is I still struggle with like the desire for visibility, and I have to remind myself often that I don't need the attention. I don't need anyone to see me. But in order for people to help these children at this moment until until we've done something that can fund it indirectly. I still have to be seen. And
I hope that's still a strategy, at least behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just always open to, I'm an ideas person. For me, the currency of a good idea is priceless.
Yeah.
Like some of the best I've done.
I would tell you this, and actually I had this said about me recently by somebody we just onboarded to be one of our client concierges. You're a rare breed in that you are both a visionary and an integrator. Normally those two roles are very separate, very different skill sets. God has put them both in you, which is why I said, yes, okay, you may be a founder now, but you're really a CEO in training. When I'm working with founders and leaders and business leaders, in fact, I even shared this concept with Troy, and he was like, yeah, that's true. There's a difference in being a founder and then being a CEO.
Yeah.
They're different skill sets. You're already ahead of the curve because you have the skill sets of both in development. So for what it's worth, you're further along than you might think you are with that term founder, by the way. So
Thank you. Yeah. And then lastly, we're doing impact trips now.
Okay.
So the first one's coming up in July. And that's a really neat opportunity for people to get a really beautiful trip experience. Like, and we treat you well. Like I tell people, you don't vacation at a hospital. I think a mistake I made is in the beginning, letting too many people come over and because sometimes it's the gut is like, oh, I just want to stay at the hospital. I'm like, have you ever stayed at a hospital in America for a month? You wouldn't do it. It's not something that you do.
I don't stay there very long. That's
because we like to keep, the children protected. We like the caregivers to be the caregivers. We don't want them building attachments with people who are going to go away. So we have a really ethically built way for you to come see the hospital, be on the ground, get inspired by it, and also also see some of the most beautiful places in the world. Like Kenya has the best safari, and I've been to multiple in Africa. Like our safaris are
I'm actually really interested in that.
Yeah. And I mean, we set it up and we've also started doing it. I am really looking to, in the next 15 years, have 4 more hospitals. And the impact trip goes through all 4 spots where I really want to have the hospitals.
That would be cool.
You can go and see, and if people want to get involved, it's a life-changing experience. You get to see the most beautiful parts. So I understand people get off about 2 weeks a year in America on average. If you only have 2 weeks off,
That's about right.
I'm not going to make you give it away. Like, we're going to give you the most incredible time. Be around people who inspire you. Be around some of our top donors. Of course, Troy is going, and he's
send me the dates.
Such a wealth of his own, but
I love Troy. Love Troy.
So I think that would be a
he sat not long ago right here at this very table.
Yeah, I think that's probably the big way that's coming up this year, and then we'll be doing it again next year. Is just, if you're not so sure, you want to partner, you want to see it on the ground first, and worst case scenario, you get like what I promise to be the most beautiful experience. There's nowhere in the world like the nature, the feeling, getting to have that impact, but also getting to see the most incredible place in the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I've intentionally chosen not to show the faces of the pictures. The cameras can see that I have pictures on the table, so they know they're real. But I also want to be a protector of what you're building.
Thank you.
And so
and that's why I love you. That's why I love Troy.
Thank you.
I mean, it's hilarious. I tell the story about Troy, though. He's like, you don't have to send me the cards. Like, and I think it's hilarious because everyone is always like, when you get donors who don't really trust you, they want to know every single little thing. But I've been so blessed to have people like you and Troy. And I know you guys love the kids and connect to the kids, but like, you believe me. And I think that's the biggest blessing to me, more than any check, is just knowing my donors know who I am, and they support me and they trust me, and everything that I send you all is like, it's a bonus, it's an overflow, but to get to be a part of this with you is incredible. And I just I can't say enough to that, because sometimes I feel people, they hear my story and they feel like they have to drop their business, they have to drop this and do it. I'm like, if you have a business, if you're Steve Scoggins, like, be that, and then let other people who don't have that, like, go out and do things like what I do.
It's called partnership.
Yeah.
It's funny how people's problems can often be solved by people's solutions.
Yeah.
If people would say, this is what I'm working with, this is what I'm working through, this is what I have at my disposal, I could use some help here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Iza, thank you so much. You're amazing. Dr. Iza, we have to get you back on. I know you have multiple trips, but hopefully you're enjoying Safe Haven. We're officially launching our couple of retreats we'll do this year for some entrepreneurs that have made money but lost meaning, and help them see the meaning in their generosity and things of that nature. So this is a really cool thing to kind of show you. So
it's beautiful. I'd love to come.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see you again.
All right. You too. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I really want to encourage you to check out the show notes, check out the various links we put down there, and just find your way. And the reason I say that is because so many times we bring on guests who are, well, they're incredibly earned people, meaning they earned their incredibleness by doing the right things the right way consistently, and they're trustworthy. You cannot get on the show whatsoever without being a great human who's actually doing good work in the world. And with all that being said, like, subscribe, share, do all the things, follow. I really wish it wasn't important, but apparently it's really important for us to keep doing great work. We're not asking you for anything other than to find your way, find your generosity, find your heart, and keep rising, leading, and lasting. Until then, I'll see you in the next episode. God bless. Check it out. See ya. Peace. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that amazing conversation. And if you want more just like that to help you level up your life and your business, you're not going to miss this next one. Check it out.
How can we tolerate the issue of human trafficking? And what you tolerate, you give permission to exist. You know, we've had images of our kids sent to us, and that's scary. But at the same point, if we allow for fear to determine what we're going to run toward, then we're always going to stop.